Coach, what is your team doing, has it been doing in the last 3 games that's so different from the first 2?
We scored 3 goals and 4 goals, and in 2 of the games, in 1 game, we didn't allow a goal. Playoffs, if you score 3 or 4, you should win. If you don't allow a goal, then you always win.
So you're starting to get that feeling back like you had last year when you went on that great roll?
Actually, today I'm tired, so.
Can you sleep on the plane?
Pardon?
Can you sleep on the plane?
Slept good.
Yeah. Do you find the trip goes faster after you've won?
They never go fast. Faster.
Darryl, from the outside, I think a lot of people thought this series was going to be one that the 2 teams beat the heck out of each other. And has it felt like that kind of series, or has it been any different from any other?
You know, both teams check so well. That's the thing. Both teams try and forecheck, and they've probably spent more time in our zone than we'd like. But it's been like that. It's been a banging series, but it's also the least penalized series if you look at it of the 2 teams. So that tells you that the way both teams, the style they play and the discipline they play, and that's why it's a long series, and that's why I think it's a good series.
Revere last night got a shot in the face, and he's had a broken nose, he got a hit in the ear, and this guy's kind of like the epitome of a playoff.
Yeah, he got hit in the nose again.
Yeah. Did he?
Yeah. So, just, it was broke, so you can't re-broke it.
You were talking last night about the 4th core defensemen and the job they did. Expand on that a little bit.
Well, I think if you go through it, there's teams that are in the playoffs, and if you take it, every team will have probably, other than probably Minnesota, because Ryan plays so much, and one other team, but they'll probably have 4 guys that play 20+ minutes, and that's why they're in the playoffs. And when playoffs start, then usually those guys get 2 or 3 more minutes, and obviously Rob are veteran guys that are sort of set for playoff type hockey, and then Drew and Slava are obviously key guys for moving pucks, so they have to play well. That's otherwise you're down in the series, because those guys are going to play a lot. It's like when we talk about, you know what, they're our best defensemen, those 4, so they're going to play a lot. So it's not like you're not going to use one of them, because then you're probably going to lose. And it's, you know, it's like when we talk about top players, if they don't play well, you're going to lose. If you don't play them, you're going to lose too. So it's pretty much the way it works.
Coach, from your personal experience and, of course, last year's experience, the importance of closing it out when you have that opportunity.
What does that mean?
You get a chance to move on.
Well,
and you know from last
year, you
year.
got to win 4 games, and that's what it's about. I mean, you'd ask the same question today if we were down 3-2. You go, well, you got to win tomorrow. Well, I think that you got to win every game you play.
Coach, you guys were down 2 games to none.
It's not, you make it sound like it's easy just because you have a lead in the series. You're supposed to close it out. Who says you're supposed to close it out? Because you say it. It's not that easy. It's literally a shift. It's like Cam said. It's a shift-to-shift series. That's how it is.
You've had absolute confidence in your team the entire way. They have confidence in you. What is so special about this group of guys that they just make it happen?
Right. You know what? They've been through. Jeff said it best last night. You go through the experience of, it's not just because you won. You lose a lot while you're winning. That's the way it works. I mean, so you're used to that. It's not like there's a pressure ever. It's like there's time in the clock, and let's go.
Darryl, do you find, having gone through it last year with this team, that the messages, you don't have to say the same messages as, say, a team that hadn't gone through that experience?
You know what? We're still a young team, so there's always a lot of constant reminder. It's not, if you forget one thing, then you think one player forgets one thing. They're not perfect, and it's when you get into this. I know everyone wants to compare it to last year. Well, this is way different because you're playing every other day, and it's hard. You know what? There's no break. They come right out of a 48-game schedule into it, and there's no break. So that's the toughest part, is actually the schedule for everybody.
Do you and Hitch coach combine to coach the same kind of series? Do you both demand, do you think, the same things out of your team? Do you see a similarity to what he's doing and what you're doing?
Well, I think both teams use all their players as much as they can, and then expect them to play their potential. And you can break it down to this series too. I mean, everybody's talking about the matchups before the series. Well, what are they? I don't know what they are. Everybody plays against everybody, other than power play or penalty count. So you expect. I assume that he expects a lot out of everybody too, and just maximizes their skill set. Everybody does something a little different, but if the stats are all the same and you're on an even skill level, and you have the right type of leadership in your room, then the teams are going to be pretty similar. And if you do it, there's no difference in size, and there's not much difference in speed. And when you do it by position, there's not much difference other than their experience on the back end. And they've declared late in the year, who their starting goalie was. We pretty much know who our number one guy is. So I think there's real similarities in that, in expecting what you expect of your teams.
Do you grew up learning your playoff hockey in those old Norris division battles and tough hockey back in the day. This is a tough series, maybe in a bit of a different way, but is this, for your money, how playoff hockey is supposed to be played, the way you guys are going at it?
Well, I think we both like to score more goals, but I think it answers also, those old divisions where you had to win 2 series in your division. So you knew you were playing the same teams every year. So that was quite a bit different. You played them guys how many times during the year, and then you knew you weren't going nowhere till you got out of your division, which is sort of where the way we're going again with the 8 and 7s next year. I think we have to win one round in our division, so it'll put more on that. I think that size matters, speed matters, smart matters, and you better have a little bit of all three.
You said that this is the least penalized series, despite a lot of banging and hitting.
Yeah.
Does that say that the league enjoys the kind of hockey you're playing?
I don't think I know everybody talks about this physical series. I don't think it's that. I think that there's a lot of oohing and ahhing when there is a hit. I watched the Toronto-Boston games this morning, and it was really similar to ours. And I watched it because I enjoyed watching it. So I don't think that it's any more physical at all, quite honestly. I think that there's a lot of work done along the boards, and that's sort of what playoffs are.
Coach, reading these about your room, no matter what the situation, they don't seem to get flustered. They seem to keep an even keel.
I think that's to go through your room. It has to be. I don't think that's. I mean, if you're alluding to a handful of guys, that's because they're the leadership group. I don't think that's been the case. I think we have some guys that have played that need to play with a lot more composure than they played with.